What's up, YouTube Perverts? Welcome back to another episode of AM Training. It is week 5 of the 6-week block, and everything is going well except for apparently I can't talk. Yeah, squat, bench, deadlift, it's all good, baby. Squats, so it was Veterans Day this week, and on Monday, so I had to kind of squat a little bit earlier. Not too bad. I did have to squat in a crunch gym. Nothing against crunch, but the bars, I could tell that they were a little uneven, or definitely bent, at least when I started using the plates. I even use metal plates, so I don't even know why it was a little bit more bent than usual. Yeah, I could definitely feel that kind of messed up my groove a little bit, but I only went for, I think I did like 5:45 for one wrapped up in these knee wraps. So definitely different. So I don't know if that's what threw me off, or maybe these weights are actually heavier compared to my school weights, which it's gonna be tough because I know my school weights, even if they're like, you know, the bumper plates, if they're like maybe 1 or 2 pounds off, let's say they're lighter, and then I have, you know, 5 plates on each side, that's like 10 plates altogether. 10 plates times 1 or 2 pounds, that's gonna be a good, you're ranging from, you know, an error being of 10 to 20 pounds off of my squat, which is gonna throw me off, because if I'm like, you know, squatting and I think I can do this weight, then, you know, when it comes to meet day, when they have calibrated plates, it's 20 pounds heavier, that's gonna be fucked. But luckily I am going to do a mock meet next week with, you know, in my client's gym, or my friend, I should say my friend's gym, because client, I sound a little pretentious, but he is my client, Anthony. He has a very good, probably one of the better garage gyms I've ever seen. That's just because he just pours in a bunch of money into it. It's probably worth probably 18,000 if I can keep up with him. He's always constantly buying things, but you know, I benefit from it, so it's great. With that being said, yeah, squats were a little difficult, so I kind of toned it down. Last cycle on week 5, I actually tested out my like wrapped a maximum. I did like a 585. Wasn't really too deep, wasn't too happy, but it was kind of cool having 585 on my back, you know, kind of ego lifting at that point. So with this block, I tried to hold back a little bit. So on Thursday, which was squat day, I went ahead and just did 545 for a nice single, just getting used to it, not getting too burnt out, because I know that I'm gonna mock meet next week, and everything's feeling really good. Even with when I did calibrated deadlifts, it was a 580. I did that for 3 with hook grip. Definitely feeling my thumbs, or not feeling. It's a weird feeling, not feeling, but feeling the pain. It's like a painful numbness. But yes, like a sharp, dull feeling. But yeah, it's going really well. So everything's going pretty damn good. Pretty happy with everything. I don't know if there's anything. Yeah. So that's what I want to talk about. Let's talk about my squats. Squats being since I was running out of time for my back off sets, I think I did 415 I had to do 4 times 6. I was running out of time, so I ended up just combining the last 2 sets. So I did, you know, 2 times 6 reps, and then followed by a set of 12 reps for the squat, which, if you see here, it was a constant tension squat. So Candito is a big fan of this, where you're just constantly having no rest in between. You know, there's give and take. I'm sure he knows the pros and cons of them. I also know the pros and cons of them. Let's go ahead and explain it. So pros being that it definitely gets your work capacity up, and there's no I guess confounding variable or different variable. If you're constantly going, then you have that set amount of time to do it, meaning that sometimes, you know how if you just sit there and stand there with the bar on your back, you can just like rest for a little bit and you could probably crank out 1 more rep. This one is just constant, so it's more, I guess it's pretty powerlifting specific aerobic work, if you want to call it aerobic work, but definitely work capacity, probably the most specific kind of conditioning you can get when it comes to the squat, because it is specific to the squat. So that's kind of cool that I could bust out a good 12 reps, because I remember, you know 405 for doing it for like 4 or 5 reps That was kind of like my limit. Now this is kind of like, if I wanted to, I could probably bust out a good 20 if I really had a gun to my head, possibly not wanting to fail in front of the World Wide Web kind of thing. Yeah. What else was I going with that? I kind of went off on a little tangent there. Oh yeah, the cons of it is just that you're not being specific to your 1 rep max. So for me, I tend to do really well with high rep sets. I guess if you want to call me slow twitch fiber dominant, then that's probably what you can call me. But that's just based off, it's not like I did any like muscle biopsy where they kind of stick a needle into your quad and kind of count the amount of fast twitch fibers versus slow twitch fibers. I'm basing that off of, I think, Charles Poliquin. He was like, or probably general knowledge at this point, where you get 80% of your max, and you pretty much do an AMRAP or do as many as you can. Usually if you could do like maybe 1 through 4, then you're fast twitch dominant, and then 5 through 8 or 9, then you're normal. 10 and above, you're gonna be able to be your slow twitch fibers, which I tend to, if I were to do 80% of my max, that would be what, if we're counting 545, that would be 54, so about 110 pounds off of that 545. So you're looking at 445, 450-ish. I'm pretty sure I can do a good 10 reps with that at least. So with that being said, that is a Charles Poliquin, RIP, Charles Poliquin. If you guys have been in the game for a little bit, I'm sure you've come across any of his articles or his kind of at least theories of a lot of stuff. He definitely is one of the better coaches, Olympic coach and everything. But yeah, he will be missed. So let's go ahead and talk about something else. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I had some mirrors. That was kind of cool. But I tend to have mirrors in my school just because the average squat is probably like 185, and it's probably a quarter squat to be, a quarter squat would be kind of generous. But that's always cool, kind of just looking at the video. I try not to get people in my video just because I'm not really supposed to be recording at my school gym, but everyone does it. So, and it helps me get these YouTube videos out, plus it helps me pay the bills. So it's just a necessary evil. Plus, everyone should be recording their sets. It's definitely what you should be doing, because then you kind of get that feedback. In the beginning, mirrors are okay, but toward the end, I tend to, end of someone's lifting career, after the end of their beginning career of lifting, I tend to be a fan of recording, just because then you should be able to kind of squat without having that visual cue. You should be able to have that kinesthetic awareness of where your body is, making sure you're hitting depth, and it's just the benefit of recording. You can kind of analyze your squat better, because then you're like, oh, I didn't actually know that's how fast it went, or I didn't know I freaking collapse or cave in or do whatever funky thing you do during the squat. Which by the way, I did see, I tend to do like a 500-pound squat before my reps, kind of like a warm-up. So throughout this whole prep, I've actually been doing kind of like a 1 rep max, not a 1 rep max, but it's pretty close to my 1 rep max, I guess, going into it. So this one I did on Thursday, I did notice that my heels came up, and that's just because I lost balance. I misgrooved. Probably would have been a whole lot faster if I didn't misgroove, but that's kind of normal. If you misgroove, it's gonna feel horrible. I'm sure you guys have all been there. Anyways, that is all for today, because I am not running late for class. I have to do a bunch of homework and a bunch of BFR doctoral research. Anyways, train hard, train smart.
BeatStars.com